why is it that many people today are so keen on these matters of, stars and astrology and all? Why? What does it say about the heart of man today? Because that's the base. I think for me, that's the basis even of this conversation, that people are really interested in these things.
Statistically, millennials and Gen Zers are more stressed than any other generation. So those guys are statistically more stressed than any other generation in history.
Okay.
And there's a lot of factors to that, but more or less, I think because of all that stress, one of the things you want is hope. Mm-hmm. Right? You want something to hold on to help encourage yourself.
Right.
So astrology, if you look at some of these horoscopes and you go on, there's a lot of YouTube pages and websites, blogs, etc. There's a lot of this stuff. Astrology really become big business.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That guys go to these things because it'll tell you, like, hey, this good thing can happen today because of the way the stars are aligned, or this positive thing can happen in your relationships, in your business, in your love life, etc. And all these things, and it gives people hope now of what's yet to come. And so I think if you have a lot of stress, you want this hope. Another thing I think that kind of underlines this, if you have a lot of stress in your life, is you also want some sort of control.
Okay.
Right? Because you feel like everything's out of control in my life. I'm stressed about this. Therefore, I want to bring this in. So even recently, we had a conversation with a friend who's a Christian that was into astrology. She's talking about how she had no job and no prospects for marriage and just doesn't really know where her life is going. And and so she's just, she said, I've been praying and praying and praying. I feel like God's not answering my prayers. And so she now starts getting into astrology, just looking for some form of...
As an option now.
Yes, it's like, it's something...
Let me help God out.
Yeah. And she wanted a form of control, a form of hope, something to hold on to. And really, this is not unique. I mean, if you even go back to one of the first sins in the Bible in Genesis 3:5 was Eve wanted to be like God.
Okay.
Right? Wanted to know good from evil. Mm-hmm. And that was something she was tempted to do. So we as people, we want to be like God and have control, right?
All right.
Be in charge of everything.
Okay.
We need to know what's true and who God is, and therefore let Him be in charge, Him be in control of our life, and trust in Him.
Does the Bible approve of these things of horoscopes and stars, or does the Bible talk about it? I mean, do we see star reading and all those things anywhere in the Bible?
One thing I like, Isaiah 47:13. Mm-hmm. This is, of course, God speaking and the prophecy. Mm-hmm. Let your astrologers come forward, those stargazers who make predictions month by month. Let them save you from what is coming upon you. Right. And you see how God is exalted.
Like a mockery, a dare, but a real dare and a mockery. Like,
mean, even the phrase, you stargazers.
And you see how God is exalted above, the astrologers, being in control. He's in control.
Right.
And this also should help us to understand that in terms of God being in control, such that whatever He has purposed will happen even in the universe or in your life. Nobody can stop that. And also, I think also it is important because what Vic mentioned, astrology has taken the dimension of religion, so that it's a religion of a kind. Like the way we have, like in Mesopotamia, these guys were moon worshippers. They used to sacrifice their children.
Right.
And so that for those individuals who are trying to seek or to find answers for their lives from the astrologers, the stars, I think it's good for us to put it right that you are already in a particular kind of a religion, which means you have disowned God. And the path that you have taken, even when we talk about the second coming of Christ, the judgment, this one you'll not escape. You'll not run away. It will not prevent you from falling, God's wrath falling upon you.
Okay.
So that it is important that we get to appreciate God is above all this. And He has assured us of instructing us.
Right.
In Psalm 38, that He will instruct us in the way that we should go.
Right.
And so I think it is important to learn to rely on God, to depend on Him concerning our lives, the day-to-day living, rather than depending on creation.
Right.
Let us look up to the Creator.
So what we are saying, are we saying that, one, if I'm a believer, then there's no way I should find myself also having even the minutest form of allegiance to horoscope and reading and all those things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Amen. Yes.
Now, before we do the final point of conversation, just to reiterate what we're saying. Number one, this is not something new. It's been there. The people have done that and they're flopped. In fact, just rightly mentioned in Isaiah, God actually mocks these guys. It's like, yeah, come bring them, because all these guys who are claiming to read your palm and see your stars and all those things, they have nothing on God. I mean, I kid you not. You go up, come down, go sideways, right, left, you come and you realize they are very faulty. I mean, and it is a deception. But we are also categorically saying that if you are born again, if you are a professing biblical Christian, then there is no way you can find yourself true to God and still engage in these things. So if you're there and you're born again, and we will invite all your questions, I know probably some of us will be hitting the roof like, no, you cannot say that. Yes, we can, because it is clear then that if you're pursuing God, then you're pursuing Him alone. Horoscope, whatever new name we might give them, these guys have been there, and it's one of the reasons that God warned His children, His people, and He wants us today in the same light, that we should not be able to engage with these things and say that we are still pursuing God. And the thing that comes to my mind is that, a story that comes to mind is when King Saul is desperately in need of God's voice and he's walked in sin. And he goes to this woman who is a witch doctor or a diviner. And he commands her to bring up the spirit of Samuel, And interesting, this is one of those interesting parts for me in the Bible, that actually God allows this woman who practices dark things to actually bring back the spirit of Samuel. And God rebukes Saul in that moment. Yet even the woman herself was so scared. And she's like, why are you making me do this? Why? I mean, this person that you're asking me to, and so we cannot overlook the power of darkness when it comes to issues of horoscopes and all those things, which probably I think is something that we should find ourselves discussing, because I think people think about it's nothing much. It's just reading a palm, and it is dangerous because the devil is definitely at work around some of these things as well. The powers of darkness are involved. So God knows all your days, and if you're still trying to pursue all these man-made things, I want to advise you, you're going to flop, you're going to fall on your head, and you together with the things that you're believing will fail and crumble. However, if you put your trust in the Lord, then you need to understand that nothing is above His direction and instruction. And so you need to find yourself trusting upon the Lord alone. If you want to continue reading horoscopes at your own peril, knock yourself out. In the meantime, our advice is this: trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight.
Amen.